Start the new year with a positive mindset. Forget looking ahead. Apparently, it's all about looking back. An expert has come up with a list of 10 simple questions to answer honestly. Each one makes you think about the highs, the lows, the mistakes, and the accomplishments of the past year. And by doing that, you can apparently start the new year with a clean slate and have your most successful year yet. So we're going to give this a little go. Denise, you first, and I think I might know the answer to this.
OK.
What makes this year unforgettable for you?
What makes this year unforgettable is it's been the first year that I've had to live without my dad. Thank you. It's been tough because he was, you know, my favourite person in the world and the one person to never judge me. But because my dad, as you knew, Kay, you guys had heard a lot about him, every single day we either say something about what Dad would have said that would make us laugh, or we think about something that Dad did say that make us laugh. So he left such, look at him, he left such a huge gap in our lives, but he also left such a huge legacy. So it's been a tough year, but as I say, he left us with so many wonderful times.
Are you surprised how much of a comfort that is? Those memories, those stories, those prompts.
I do, and I feel very lucky that we were able to be with him as well, because, you know, a lot of people lost people and for whatever reason they weren't able to be with them. So that gives me great solace. And because my dad, to me, it wasn't his time, but he lived every single day of his 84 years as if they were his last. Nobody could have crammed more into his life than my dad did. So I don't feel like he missed out on anything. I mean, my dad would be sitting up there with FOMO without a shadow of a doubt, because he would. My dad thought that there was no party unless he was at it. It was incomprehensible that you might not want him to come somewhere. So yeah, it's been a tough year, but as I say, he's missed. But we have so many wonderful memories. Thank you.
Kelly, and this is one of the questions. What's the one thing you've changed about yourself?
Oh, wow. Everything. You know, my life has changed. Since doing my documentary called Being Me, about announcing publicly that I was a gay woman only a few months ago, obviously, it's changed everything about me. You know, I feel free. I'm happy for the first time in my life. I've met so many people. You know, obviously, some people still don't know, but fear is a debilitating factor of life, you know, and a lot of fear is not irrational. A lot of people have fear in their life, and mine was about worrying that I'd still be in trouble from the military, because it was against the law to be a gay while I was serving in the military. And that lived with me for the whole of my life, and 34 years of fear, trying to unravel that and change the narrative in my head that it's OK to be me. It's OK to have the conversations we have sometimes in the back room, and just talk normally. You know, when you're having to constantly check yourself, everything that you say and do on a day-to-day basis, because you can't talk about a partner, you can't talk about where you went on holiday.
You probably wouldn't have come on this show.
No. I would never. Don't think I'd even been asked, to be honest, because I've become more free. You know, I enjoy myself.
You thought you were actually going to be not just ridiculed. You thought you were going to be arrested. You were so frightened of it having been against the law.
Yeah, for sure. And also, even though the military is one of the best employees now for diversity since the ban was lifted in 2000, but even in international sport we didn't talk about it back then. And so as a 17-year-old I was told about this law that was institutionalised institutionally given to you, and I literally thought up until 2021, December 2021, that I could still be jailed if I've lived with that all my life. So it makes me realise, you know, that, I mean, people say, do you regret not doing it? No, because life is what it is, you know, and you have to either reflect on it and take the positives out of it. And the positives for me is that I achieved so much in my life up until that without having to talk about, you know, my sexuality. It was enough. But what people forget is that that wasn't my freedom. I felt so trapped and so vulnerable that I just couldn't be me. And it's not about who I'm seeing or what I'm doing. It's just I can just talk. I can have conversation. And hopefully my whole point now is to try and normalise conversation around the LGBT world, because if you cheered me as an international athlete, you know, I was the first woman to bring home 2 gold medals for Great Britain. That was, you know, surely that was enough, you know. It shouldn't matter now what I talk about there, but it's allowed me to be free. And I believe everybody has the right to stand side by side with everybody else in this world.
Absolutely.
It's our lives we live. And fear for anyone of any type is you should never have somebody who has to live their life in that way. And so I want to break the boundaries for lots of things. And, you know, I'm happy.
And we're really happy to have you with us, I have to say.
Hey, I have a question for you.
Oh, she's got her specs on and everything.
If you could go back to the start of this year, what would you tell that Kay?
I'd say, Kay, you can't dance, don't do it.
You can.
No. Oh, gosh, I don't know.
Would you have still done Strictly?
You know, I met some wonderful, wonderful people, and that is always a great thing, to meet talented, lovely people. I'm still kind of coming to terms with it, because I suppose what I told myself when I'd made the decision to do it was, Kay, you've got to put yourself outside your comfort zone, you know, because you hear that's good for you. Put yourself out your comfort zone. Now I think it's maybe called a comfort zone for a reason.
Do you think it was just too far out of your
Maybe it was
zone?
too far out of my comfort zone. So I guess I had hoped that it would create a new me, and it didn't. So maybe I just have to be happy with the old me.
But we don't want a new you.
No.
Oh,
I think you're so brave.
Yeah.
What about you, our kid?
Jack, you said at the beginning that they were easy questions, and I actually found them really hard.
Yeah,
I
know,
thought it was
I did
actually
too.
really hard to look back over my year and really think about what I felt was good, bad, whatever. I think probably for me, the biggest surprise was Wayne and I had always, like, you know, when you're here, I love being in England, I love being in London, but I always have these moments where, you know, when you have days where it's really grey and cold, and I think, imagine if we lived somewhere hot, like, imagine what we'd be doing now. So we decided to go to America for, like, 5 weeks over the holidays to see what we thought of it. Wayne had always gone there when he was younger. I always went, like, when he was playing football, when he had time off, I went with the Saturdays, and I always loved it. And actually, when we went, it just really made me appreciate where I'm from, and not that I didn't already, but it just, I suppose it made me realise that the grass isn't always greener. And actually, I'll take the rain to be with my friends and family.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's a good thing to discover, but maybe you do have to test it.
Yeah.
But they weren't that easy, were they, those
No.
questions?
No.